Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast for all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time. I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult. We are here because God is concerned about that which concerns you. And so every day, Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we are here live in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Fiji water at FijiWater.com, Earth's finest water. And for those of you who would like to order 2 cases or more from Fiji Water, you can receive a 25% discount right now, not on a subscription, but on a one-time order of 2 cases or more, 25% off. Your code is SPRING because spring has sprung at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at New Life Ministries International.com and New Life International CDC.com, we thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to say to all of our new listeners and viewers, I'm Pastor Pope, and we thank you always for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. And now that you're with us, you're part of the New Life 3D family. So we are delighted to have you tuned in with us wherever you are across the U.S., wherever you are around the globe. And we are always here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So we are Facebook Live, we are YouTube Live, we are RadioFreeNetwork.com live. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the drop box will appear, click on the New Life link, and every broadcast will be available to you. And you can now listen to our 24-hour internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com/WKAP-Faith. And you will be able to listen to music 24 hours a day, music that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your husband has been battling with alcohol and drug use for years. You say marijuana, no other drugs, thankfully, no other drugs are involved. However, you have not been able to get him to seek help. And this has become your life, and you want it to change. So let me first of all say this. This didn't just become your life. This is the life that you have chosen. And the reason I wanted to bring that to your attention, first of all, is because we all have choices. Now, you chose to be married to your husband. You have been living with this experience for quite some time. So he drinks and he smokes weed. And that's been his life. You chose this life. So that's the first thing you have to accept. And because you want to make change, you can make change. But what you have to be mindful of is all you can do to encourage him to get help is You've been saying this for a long time. All you can do now to encourage a change in him is to continue to pray fervently. If you want it to change, you've got to pray fervently. You have to be intentional about your prayers. You have to be consistent with your prayer. You have to pray without ceasing, and you have to pray that God will give him a new heart and a renewed mind. And in that, you also have to take into consideration that you can't enable him in the process. So think about this. When you go out to eat, for example, don't go to places where you know they have a liquor license. Go to restaurants where they don't serve liquor. That way he doesn't have the opportunity to order drinks while he's out eating. Don't make stops for him at the liquor store. And if your grocery store serves liquor in the region that you're in, whether it's alcohol or beer, don't put it on your shopping list for him. You're making it too easy for him to continue what he's doing, and you're enabling him to do it. And sure, he'll get a little grumpy about you not picking up his wine and spirits and whatever he's drinking, that you're not bringing from the grocery store, and you're not stopping at the liquor store or the wine and spirits store on your way home when you go out for your weekly shopping or bi-weekly shopping, or bi-monthly shopping. You're making it too easy. So you've got to pray, and you've got to stop enabling him. Now, he doesn't have you go buy his weed for him. He has some place that he gets his weed from. That is his effort, and that's his choice. And if it's legal in your state, it's now even easier for him to indulge. And, whether it's a medical dispensary or whether it's him getting it from someplace knowing he's not going to suffer the consequences of that. You got to understand that those are his choices. But you can have an impact by, not enabling him. So let's go back to the basics. You pray. And when he wants to go out to dinner, or when you want to go out to dinner, don't go to places that serve alcohol. You will eliminate that from the equation by going to restaurants. And they may not be the restaurants you choose, because most fine dining establishments or hotel restaurants do have a liquor license, so they can serve alcohol. It may not be the places you want to go, but find places that don't serve alcohol. That might require you to do some dining at, casual dining establishments if you want to go out to eat. It's going to change some things, because the places that you traditionally go are places where he can order drinks while he's at dinner. But you've got to change that. If you want this to cease, you've got to change that. And he's been battling with alcohol for a long time. The other thing that you do, and God allowed me to see that in the secret place of your life, and that's the reason I brought it up, is that not only do you buy what you buy at the grocery store if he requests it, but you will stop at the wine and spirit store for him and pick up alcohol, and you know that he's battling with it. So let me say this to you. You're going to have to make some changes in order for your life to change. You cannot be an enabler. You have to pray. Pray that God gives him a new heart. Pray that God gives him a renewed mind, so that he will not choose to continue to indulge and pouring poison into his body. You know, that's for all of us who are now practicing our Christian faith, working out our salvation. Many of us have been drinkers at one time. That we indulged when we went out to the club. We indulged when we went to restaurants. We indulged when we were living that life. But we understand now that the body is the temple of God, where the Holy Spirit has a place to dwell, and so therefore we no longer choose to indulge. That's why we don't drink. We understand now also from the medical perspective that drinking alcohol is poison. So we're drinking alcohol, we're putting poison into our bodies. Going to have an impact on the quality of our lives. So we eliminate that from the equation. But we do that for spiritual reasons. Your husband is in a different place in his life. You're going to find it necessary to make some additional changes also if you want him to make some changes. So let me tell you what that looks like. You go to church some Sundays, but you don't go to church most Sundays. You don't go to church every Sunday, and you don't go to church most Sundays. You go to church some Sundays. Sometimes you feel like it, sometimes you don't. That's some Sundays. That is not going to be conducive to change occurring in your life. You can make some minor changes, but it's not going to be conducive to you making major changes that are going to enhance the quality of your life and enhance the quality of your life long term. We've got to want the best quality of life. We've got to learn to. So yesterday, the Sunday sermon was step by step. You know, I started with Q2, quarter 2 of this year, being the quarter we just entered. And the reason that I started there is because you have the opportunity to make this the first day or the first quarter of the rest of your life. But you've got to be willing to make changes also. So none of us are perfect. Your husband's not perfect. You're not perfect. None of us are perfect. But if you want change, you're going to have to make some changes also. Yes, he does. There's some serious issues going on there. In the sense of he drinks, he doesn't know when to stop. He's not a violent drinker. He's not a mean drunk. He's none of those things. He just drinks until he really wants to go to sleep. Because he's a drinker. But if you want him to make change, one of the changes that you can make is stop going to church sometimes and go to church every Sunday. I wish you were in our area, but you're not. Because you'd hear me talk about this more and more, is that we all need to be in church every Sunday. That's a lifestyle. And the reason that we're in church every Sunday is to create a lifestyle that's going to create a better quality of life. It's going to give us the best quality of life. So we do what we do for that reason. It gives us a place to worship God and praise the Lord among the assembly of people who are like-minded. That's a beautiful place to be. And we want to learn what we need to know to build a better quality of life every day. So, as I mentioned, Sunday's sermon was step by step. We can't skip steps. We've got to take each step, and each step that we take is going to take us to another step closer to our purpose and to a better quality of life. So I'm going to encourage you, let your husband see you being consistent, and then he's going to, if you continue to pray, he's going to start doing something more consistent also, and it won't be drinking. and it won't be smoking weed. Because right now, those are his consistencies, because he doesn't have any other example of consistency in his life. And you might say, well, that's not my responsibility. I just want him to change. Well, how's that working for you? You've got to do something different if you want change. That's just the bottom line. It has to start with you and then transition to him. And then as you go through that process step by step, this has been going on for decades. So as you go through that process step by step, it will begin to change, and you will then begin to observe and experience a better quality of life. So I'm going to encourage you to make those changes and allow him to see you being consistent, attending church on Sunday, and then you can invite him to attend church. Because what you've been doing is what most people do. If you're someone who goes to church sometimes, sometime when you go to church, you invite him to go. But if you're going to church every Sunday and he sees you going to church every Sunday, then you have the right to ask him to attend with you, and then you two can begin to work on a better quality of life. So I'm going to join you in praying for you and your husband, that you two will get to a place in the Lord that you will experience a better quality of life. You want change, and that's the good news. The good news is you're ready for change. Now you must begin to make some changes. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have a dear friend who has been your friend for a very long time. However, she is not making the progress that you are making in life. And she's talked to you about that on more than one occasion. And you realize now that it is due to her attitude, her behavior, and her decisions. Well, here's a newsflash. If you now realize that, that is a conversation that you can discuss with her over time. And the reason I say over time is because you don't want to really send her into shock. I'll use that term. You don't want to send her into shock by telling her that you now understand her attitude is part of the problem in her life, that her behavior is part of the problem in her life, and her decisions are part of the problem in her life. Because that's a shock to everyone. That is a shock to anyone. That is a shock to all of us. All of us at some point in our lives who have, I was about to say who have not had a relationship with the Lord all of our lives, but I can't even say that, because even people that have had a relationship with the Lord, or they think they have the relationship with the Lord all of their lives, still have the same issues that we all have. Attitude determines altitude, determines just how high we're going to go. That's first and foremost. Attitude is everything. Attitude is going to determine how you interact with people. It's going to determine how you're able to progress both personally and professionally. Attitude is the beginning of everything in our lives. And I know I'm going to get some emails, so I just want to expound on that just a bit. Your attitude about Christ See, because I know the emails I would get is, well, Pastor, I thought, God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning of everything and the end of everything. Yes, he is. Then comes the attitude. So it's the attitude we have about our relationship with Christ. It's the attitude that we have about our relationships with others. And it's our attitude about our expectation for life and in life. Our expectations. So attitude is going to be a primary source of everything we accomplish in our lives. Our attitude, how we see the world around us, is our perception. Our attitude about that is going to determine how we progress through our perspective. So think about this. If you wake up every day, and I find it hard to fathom how anybody can wake up every day and decide they're going to have a bad attitude. Because if you wake up in the morning, you're already ahead of the game. If you wake up and God breathes the breath of life into you, you're already ahead of whatever the day could possibly bring your way. So if you wake up in the morning with the right attitude, and let me tell you what society has done, and this is the trick of the enemy, but there's an old adage that says that people get up on the wrong side of the bed. How is that possible? There's no right or wrong side of the bed. There's only a right or wrong way to wake up. And the way that we should wake up every morning is thankful. Thankful that we awaken this morning. Thankful for the breath of life that God has given us. And you might say, well, Pastor, I've got some challenges. I've got some aches and pains. I've got some physical issues that I've got to deal with. But the fact that you're still alive to deal with them should allow you to wake up every day and rejoice in the Lord, knowing that this is another day that he's made for you to maximize your opportunity and your potential. Your opportunities and your potential. So let's start right there. The attitude is going to be critically important. It's going to be the primary method of getting to the purpose that God has appointed for our lives. Because God's already predestined it. How we get there, whether we get there with the joy of the Lord or whether we get there in misery, wanting company, is part of what our attitude is going to determine. So first of all, when we wake up in the morning, we should rejoice that we've waken up, that we've awakened for a new day. And we should be thankful that we've awakened for a new day. So when you tell someone that they've got an attitude problem, it's better to walk them through the process than to hit them over the head with a club that says you've got a bad attitude. And then because she's your friend, you can talk about her behavior. You can talk about the things you see doing that are destructive. Because destructive behavior is just that. It is the path to self-sabotage. So you can have that conversation about her behavior, then you can have a conversation about the decisions that she makes over time, step by step. Once again, step by step by step. Over time, you can have those conversations because trust me when I tell you this, if you tell her she's got an attitude problem and that her behavior and her decisions are disrupting the quality of her life, she's going to shut down on you. And the reason is because all you've done is tell her what the problem is. You haven't helped to guide her through solutions. When you talk with her about attitude, it's more about, what you really hope for both of you, because you've been friends for so long, is that both of you begin to experience a better quality of life. So let's change our perspective about certain things. Let's change the way we look at certain things. Let's really examine ourselves and see how we can improve some things. Determine how we can make some improvements. And then you can talk about, attitude as a man or woman thinketh, so is he. So if she's got a bad attitude all the time because she's mad at men for the bad relationships she's had over the years, she's mad at her boss because she doesn't think her employer's a good person, whatever the reasons may be, whatever her reasons are for having a bad attitude, you can discuss those without an accusatory perspective. You just want to walk her through it. Don't just give her the problem. Identify the problem. Discuss the solutions. How can both of you, and your attitude is fine, but how can both of you improve, enhance, have a positive attitude every day throughout the day, from the time you wake up in the morning till the time you lay your head down at night? Because attitude is a big factor, a huge factor in us maximizing the quality of life and maximizing our success. Behavior is another component that is going to determine the quality of our lives. The decisions we make are going to determine whether we experience the fullness of God or if we're just going to live to accept some particles of God. So you want to have those conversations. And it really comes down to how you communicate with her. She's been your friend for a very long time. You're making progress. Your example should be an example to her to want more for her life also. All you can do is lead by example. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK, and they also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you work with your brother, you said for your brother, but you work with your brother and his children in his family-owned business. However, he has a difficult time working with his children, and he constantly shares with you the difficulties that he has working with them. And you said his children think that they're much smarter than he is after running a business for 30 years and making it through a pandemic. So look, we want the generation that comes behind us to be better than we were. And we educate our children with the intent that they're going to be better than our generation. And he's blessed to have his children come and work in the family-owned business. Someday, he wants them to take over the business. The problem is he has difficulty working with them. Yes, they think they're smarter than he is. He just has to remind them that he's been running the business for 30 years successfully, made certain that they had a great quality of life, paid for them to go to school, did everything necessary for them to be in the position that they're in right now. Someday he would like them to take over the business and carry on the business, transition the business into the next generation. But he's been doing this successfully for 30 years. They need to understand that. A little over 30 years. They need to understand that, and they need to watch and learn. Give some suggestions on how they can grow the business and enhance and